Hi guys, welcome to my channel. It's a bit chilly today. I don't do too well with cold weather, and really I cannot wait till the winter ends.
Oh my
Which
god.
is funny because it hasn't even started yet, so it's gonna be a long winter for me. Especially because I'm finding it hard to adjust right now. But yeah, today's topic is purpose, finding purpose, and this is in the context of Christianity. So, this will be about Christianity. I will touch on being Catholic, and I will talk about God throughout the video. So, if you're not about that life, please skip through, like, don't watch it, because if it's something you feel sensitive about or you just don't want to hear about God, I just don't think that it is a good idea for you to continue. And funny enough, talking about being Catholic, it is a week before the Good Friday festivities, so I will touch on that and what I feel its meaning is. And funny enough, I have a rosary right beside me. Here it is. I have a rosary. So I did practice to be Catholic fully, but I didn't go all the way, and that's why I know so much about that aspect. And this is my sister's rosary, so it's always here in this designated area, so we don't really touch it unless on very rare occasions, someone would have it in the house, maybe they're going through something. Just hold on to it and just trust that God is going to take you to the other side. I'm going to start off my video. I'm going to start off my video by talking about my younger brother. So I had a younger brother. He passed on at the age of 10 years old, and he was in a bicycle, and then a taxi came and hit him. That's how he passed on. So he passed on at a very young age. I was turning 18 that year. We went to his funeral. Obviously, everyone was sad, especially my dad. So he was my dad's son. For context, he was my dad's son, and everyone was like, kids were there. They were talking about how sad it is, and the community was there, the teacher was there. But I just want to talk about the scenario with this one woman who came forward and talked about him. His name was Utando, and he was an exceptional kid. From the way that this woman was talking about him, she was saying that he was a good kid, but not only that, he pushed the other kids to do homework and to attend church with him and to help around the house. So it left something very remarkable within me, a lesson that you need to show up the best way you can for yourself, for other people, so that you can make their lives a bit easier and the betterment of the overall community around you. I took that with me, so I'm very intentional. Anyone who knows me personally knows I'm very intentional in what I do and what I say, how I show up. I just make sure that I have an impact, and I leave an environment better than it was. I try. It doesn't always work because everything is conditional, but I do my best to make sure that I just make the place better than it's been, or just make sure that I used up all that all that I have to make things better for other people. Of course, not at the detriment of my own self, but just to make sure that I am of service to others. Before I get into Father Stew, I just want to talk about going to church and learning these lyrics. So I want to talk about a song titled Shepherd of My Soul, and the lyrics are very in line to this topic of purpose. So they go by Shepherd of my soul. I give you full control. Wherever you may lead, I will follow. I have made a choice to listen to your voice. Wherever you may lead, I will go. And it just speaks to how you just surrender your life to God and just tell him that I'm gonna go your way regardless of what your way is. Looking at it now, because we used to sing it as, kids, like as a child, you just like, this is a nice song, I like the melody. But looking at it now, it's very deep. It's like, are you really willing to give your all? Like, are you willing to surrender everything that you are to serve God? And I don't think that is realistic. I don't think that is entirely true. So I really do feel like we need to think on those lyrics, just ponder on them for now, and then I will explain later as to why I don't think it is realistic for the regular human being to go that way. For the Stew is a movie that was released in 2022. It is a story about Stuart Long, who is played by Mark Wahlberg. So Mark Wahlberg actually pushed for this for this movie to be out there. And it is about an amateur boxer from Montana who is also pursuing his acting career in California. He moves there. So he doesn't have a good relationship with his parents, particularly because they also stopped believing in God. They were Christian, but then they stopped believing in God, and his dad is now like an alcoholic, full-blown alcoholic, and he left their home and he went on to just go about his business, didn't care about the family. So they were hurt as a family because his younger brother passed on with no explanation, and they still cannot reconcile with that fact. So from that day on, they just stopped believing in God. So while he was on his journey to be an actor, he met this young lady. Her name is Carmen. She works for the church and also is a teacher at a Sunday school. So she just educates about what it is to be Catholic, to be Christian, and all those values. And Stu works very hard to get her attention, and she just tells her straight up that you need to be baptized. So he starts attending church, the local church, more often, and would bump into her, trying to make her his girlfriend. His wish ultimately becomes true because he gets baptized and he starts living a righteous life. And this is a surprise to his parents because they know Stu is hard-headed and he is a foul mouth. He says whatever is on his mind. He acts without thinking sometimes. So everyone is surprised that Stu is turning his life around. But this one particular time, because he did not get a gig in acting, he becomes so angry. He goes at the bar and he drinks more than he's supposed to drink. This is a person who has a motorbike, and this is late, obviously. So he does something that is not smart. So because he is in the state that he's in, he's very drunk, he gets into his bike and then he unfortunately hits another vehicle, and in his, like, he goes into unconsciousness and slips into consciousness. It's just like a, like it just keeps on he just keeps on going into consciousness and unconsciousness. And while this is happening, he's having a vision of the Virgin Mary, who tells him that he should not die in vain. And he is very sure that he is about to die. They're having this conversation. However, he does not die. He goes to the hospital. So he does recover. And his girlfriend takes care of him. Carmen is now his girlfriend. So she takes care of him, and it looks promising, like they will be now a couple and they will get married sometime soon. So that is his wish, or his now newfound purpose, to be a family man. So that keeps happening. However, this vision plays in his mind of Virgin Mary, and ultimately he sees that his purpose is to go into priesthood, and he signs up to be a priest, which is a huge turnaround for the type of person that he was. Stu applies to be a priest at the seminary, in which he is rejected at first, but he keeps trying and stating his case that he should in fact be a priest, and he gets accepted at some point. But then what happens is that he gets diagnosed with inclusion body myositis, which is a disease where your body starts losing its function altogether, but slowly, right? So as time goes on, he struggles to walk properly. His face becomes disfigured because his mouth starts falling off, like it starts being skew, and he is not able to use his hands, so he does need assistance, which in the long run it affects his journey into priesthood, because he is not able to fulfill the ultimate title of being a priest due to his losing his senses as someone who would be ordained to become a priest. The church requires you to be able to celebrate the sacraments, and because Stu cannot do that, the bishop then cites that as reason to why Stu cannot be a priest. However, the parishioners from California, where Stu used to go and Carmen used to go, the California church, sorry, where they used to go, then petitioned to have Stu ordained to become a priest, and ultimately the bishop agrees. Then Stu then started his ministry, but he was taken to a home in which he would be taken care of fully, and people would come to see him and talk to him as a priest would, like how they interact, and if like he was providing some sort of service. So he was a full priest, but because he was losing some of his sensories, it was a bit limited. So he did that until he passed on at the age of 50 years old. I just encourage you to watch this movie. There are bits and pieces that I have left out because you'll see how each character reacts to this and how deeply sad this movie is. I have also seen the interviews that Mark Wahlberg has done, and to be honest, he seems very, I want to say respectful, but I feel like this movie has taken so much of him to do and perform very well, and because of that, I personally feel like it has made him a tired person. Like, it's a very heavy movie. That is just my opinion, and this is not to bash on the actor. It's to actually commend him, because he comes across as very respectful of what Stuart Long was going through and what the message was. He is interviewed by a lot of priests, but I do feel like with the movie, it's not just about Christianity, it's about faith as a whole. Because ultimately we are human, and whether you believe in God or Allah or just the universe, you will go through transitions in life and challenges that will force you to look onto something to believe in and trust. So you do have to believe in something, and I think that ultimately that was the message of the movie. Just a heads up, the second part of this video is sharing my views on what I think about Father Stew, and it's linked to the topic of purpose. I will be speaking over pictures, so don't be surprised by the switch up. The first takeaway from the movie is that prayer does change things. Going back to the song that I was referencing earlier called Shepherd of My Soul, it is very difficult to give your life to God and just say, do what you want to with my life, because sometimes it does not align with what we want as humans. Like the human experience, how we have all these achievements that we want to attain, goals to, you think that by the age of 30 you will have the house, the car, and everything will be in place. But sometimes it is not your journey, and it is a difficult prayer, because what if this is not what God has called you to do? What if his message is you need to work at the soup kitchen and serve the homeless? And it's so funny because on the internet we always say that when you meet someone and they're great, they're amazing, you need to say the prayer, and the prayer is that if they are not for me, God, please remove them. How many of us are happy about that? When God removes someone, we just panic, we rage, we try to reason, we try to bargain, like make him or make her a great person, or this person that I envision them to be. So something so little as that we cannot handle. So can we really handle if God was to say, yes, I see that you're doing this, but actually I just want you to go a different direction? It is very dangerous. What if he tells you to leave your job where you earn R1,000,000 per month? This is just hypothetical, of course, but at the same time, we really need to be mindful for the things that we ask for. And I'm not saying that it is wrong to ask for that, but also be very realistic that when it comes to spirituality, and in all forms, I'm not just talking about Christianity, even African spirituality, there is that thing where we don't really talk about how sometimes these entities don't care about what we want as humans, but the things that we need to fulfill while we are in this form, this human form. And yes, in rare cases, it does align to who we want to be. I will get in deeper about this prayer thing later, much later on. I'll do a video about it, but I just feel like there are people who are lucky. If you want to, for example, start a business in baking, and this is what you were chosen to do, then if you pray about it, it will be given to you very easily. But if you pray about it but it's not your vision, it's gonna be not only hard, but most likely you won't succeed in that, because maybe you're supposed to do something else, and maybe you have this dream that you're going to get married one day, but God is like, it's not your journey. What do you do to that with that? What do you do with that information? So it's very difficult. My personal prayer is that you're able to handle everything that comes with serving God and serving whatever that you are serving. So remember that the vision of Virgin Mary was saying Stew must not die in vain. So I often think about that line because it also aligns to my younger brother who, like I say, that message that I got, it clicked something in me that made me want to be a person of purpose. And he did not die in vain because the messaging that I got helped me to be a person of purpose. So how are we living even if we are waiting for God to tell us what we are here for, how are we living to just be our best selves in whatever we're doing? Because I just believe that timing is important. Sometimes you're not given that yet because you were not mentally or spiritually ready for a blessing and a meaning of what your life is about. So while you're waiting, what are you doing with that time, and what are you doing in your spaces and environments to become a blessing to others? Finally, I just want to talk about what I think Good Friday is about, and the betrayal of Jesus, of course. So if you really think about it, yes, he didn't die in vain. He died for our sins. And also, I just want to talk about how he has risen. So for a lot of Christians, it's not just celebration of, he died and then he woke up, but it's also a new year for them. And in that, if you're a person that truly believes that you are shedding, like you're just shedding a part of you that does not serve you, and then you are going to be rising with him, I just feel like in this phase or moment, it is important to be intentional about the type of person you want to be. So as we go through this week of holiness and giving ourselves and reflecting on what it means to be Christian or Catholic, I just think that it is a time to reflect on the type of people we want to be to others, especially those who we are around all the time. So I just urge you to be kind and be respectful, and all the other added things, like my brother who would say, like, help around the house, be of service. But most importantly, just ask God who you can be in your time of waiting. And we are not ready for exactly what it is in terms of his answer to what we are supposed to be doing for him. So just ask for lenience, and also your duty is to be intentional about where you want to, or who you want to be in your hour of awakening, which is the rising of Jesus. And yeah, that's all I want to say about this. Thank you so much for watching my video to this point. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on my video. So until next time, peace.